Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. I am here today with a layout process video as part of the load challenge that happened in October. And as I go through this layout process video today, I wanted to share some of my thoughts and ideas on how I create multiple layouts of the same event for different scrapbooking albums. So let's get started. So the prompt for this load layout a day challenge was to tell a vacation story. Now, normally this prompt would drive me nuts because of the pandemic. We have not taken any vacations except for we did this year. We went to the East Coast. We live on the West Coast and visited some family and did some vacation-y things while we were out there. So I want to create multiple layouts of this vacation for my two kids' albums and for our family album. So I'm going to need 3 copies altogether of these different stories. Now, not all the stories would be duplicated in all the albums because some stories will pertain more to one kid or the other kid or more to the family in general. So this story in particular does pertain to my 2 kids. So I want to double up on these layouts. I pulled out my Vicki Boutin Where to Next collection, and I'm going to use that for most of this vacation storytelling. One of the pieces I have already cut into, and it is shorter than 12 by 12. And so I am going to fill that in with some strips from other pattern papers. I'm also going to cut it even a little bit shorter so that I can use the B side of the paper and make my paper go even farther. So I'm using my trimmer both as a measuring device to kind of get an idea of how much I need to trim down and making sure that I trim my paper strip with enough overlap so that I can glue it back together and end up with a full 12 by 12 piece. And now I do have 2 identical sheets of background pattern paper with those hearts being that way. Here I'm doing a little paper tearing on that extra little strip for some textural detail, and I will glue it down and get it all adhered down. But if you didn't have 2 identical pieces of paper for the background, go ahead and choose a different paper for the other layout, because that, even if you didn't have enough paper to make 2 identical layouts altogether, you can go with the same design and just cut different strips of paper from the different patterns that you have. So here is one tip that I use when I am combining these pieces back together to create a full 12 by 12 layout. Again, I will use my T-square ruler to bump up that extra piece to the top and side edges so that I know my background is now square and back to 12 by 12 size. All right, off camera, I matted my photos on just plain white cardstock, which is 8.5 by 11 for card making and such. So I have these extra strips that I cut to add a little color blocking difference between all of my strips of pattern paper because it is getting a little bit busy, and this kind of helps calm it down. And I do have to piece these pieces together since it is 8.5 by 11 paper. But while I'm doing that, I wanted to touch back on those photos a little bit. If you have different photos of different people or slightly different arrangements that would fit better in each different album, this is where I would go ahead and use those photos in the same size and orientation. Hopefully you can make that work, and go ahead and use a different photo so that these 2 pages can work in each of the different albums. I have started working on my title while I was talking about those tips, and luckily I had an alphabet that would work for both pages and be able to spell out a generally the same title. But this is where things start going different between each of these layouts, because I want to add in not only to this title, and if I didn't have enough letters out of a single alphabet set, I would have to use 2 different letters. But I'm going to pair up my alphabet letters as part of my title with phrase stickers from the Vicki Boutin collection, because I really like mixed font titles. And so I don't have multiple sets of that Vicki Boutin sticker collection. I'm going to have to use 2 different phrases to add into my title. While I'm thinking that over, I am trimming down a strip of pattern paper to give a resting place to my title that will bring it off of that really busy background. And I'm going to repeat that pattern paper for my journaling in a moment. But here is what the first title looks like. It says, Hello Broadway. Now, like I said, I only have one of those phrase stickers that says hello. So the other one is going to, I think it's, I can't remember now, but when we get to that, maybe I can read it. In the meantime, I have cut down that same pattern paper. So altogether on this layout, I've used 4 sheets of pattern paper, all of which were scraps in some manner, to create 2 separate layouts. All right, now we can see that the other title says Love Broadway and one title says Hello Broadway. I did think I was going to add some chipboard dimension over my photos, but it wasn't sized quite well enough to work. So I've moved on to my embellishment clusters with the sticker pack from this collection. And especially since I'm working on 2 layouts, I am going to de-stickify my stickers so that as I'm pulling pieces out, I can add them to one layout, look for another piece that's similar to add to the second layout. And if things aren't working, I can pull them back off easily and try again. So that is why I am de-stickifying my stickers. Now, I have gone through my stickers and found bits and pieces that are similar or sometimes exactly the same for these 2 separate layouts. And I am going to keep adding to these embellishment clusters by creating more grounding pieces. I'm going to recycle the packaging from the sticker sheets to create circles with my circle punch, and the color of that packaging again helps bring those embellishment clusters off that busy background so that they're not getting lost. And when I do that for this bottom section of clusters, I want to repeat those elements in the other clusters. And that adds the repetition and also the ease of seeing those clusters and all the elements involved. Okay, I'm trying to build up the clusters even more with a couple of phrase pieces, and neither one of these are going to match because I don't have duplicates. And so I am just finding the phrases that are similar in mood to go in each album, and that is where I will make some choices between, working with the products that I have on hand. And then a final tag element to my bottom cluster, again, helps enlarge the cluster, helps pull it off the background some more. And then I have another little textural paper element, which are these paper clips, which I haven't really used very much before, and I've seen them included in various collections more recently, so I'm going to enjoy using those. All right, and that brings us to the look at the final layout. So I hope I gave you some tips and tricks on ways to make doubling up on your layout creation work faster and easier for you and work with the products that you have to use. All right, I will be back next week with some more crafty videos for you. And until then, I hope you have an artful day.